Alright, so this is going to be the video where I critique a developer video, a developer talk that Supercell put out called Quest for the Healthy Metagame, Balancing Cards in Clash Royale. This is in 2017. This is very, very recent. This is something to keep in mind because this guy uses a lot of very early examples to make his points, very simplistic examples to make his point, even after the game has been out for about a year and a half. What we're going to be doing in this video is going through this, like, almost point for point what he makes, and we're going to try and deconstruct it and see how the game became the way it was today and how they understand the meta, balancing, etc., etc. Toby, thank you for the host. I actually think that maybe I should turn off like donations and all that kind of stuff. All right. So before I go into this, I just want to say that this video is specifically going to target balancing, how Clash Royale balances their game. Not like everything else I'm actually happy with in terms of their quality of life changes. I think they added in a lot of things like making a friends list, being able to spectate people through clans, you know, like these 2v2 challenges, especially implementing 2v2. I am not going to touch on anything like that. So that's not what the video is about. The video is going to be about their balancing and their mindset and mentality toward that. All right. So
in Clash Royale.
Let's go ahead and start.
Does this work? Yes, it works. Okay, very short introduction first. So my name is Stefan Engblom. I work as a game designer in the Clash Royale team in Supercell. I'm one of currently 17 developers. We just grew this month with 6%, so we got one new guy into the team. This is the core team basically that does all the decisions for Clash Royale, for the game itself, not necessarily for marketing, etc., but yeah, for the game itself. And
so there are 17 people who work on the game itself. So these 17 people share all the responsibilities of making this game go,
while I'm
from every design standpoint. Okay.
Only one with the title game designer. Everybody really is involved in game design.
So he's the main one. If you look at it, this is what I've been told from pretty good sources, that he's the only game developer, right? He's the only game developer with the title of it, right? So what does this mean?
And pitches in on the games. Everybody is a game designer basically in the team.
Everybody's a game designer. Mm-hmm.
And my focus is on balancing the cards, balancing the gameplay, on the game economy, and on system design. But
so everybody's shit, like, so I mean, what does this mean to you guys? When I hear this, I hear that he also has other duties. It means that he's not only working on the balance of the game, he's also doing a whole bunch of other stuff that we don't know because Supercell doesn't put out that information. We know his name because he does a presentation on it. Those other people in the photo, I can't find them. I tried looking for their names, I tried looking for their occupation, it isn't there. So it's fair to say that every one of them is a game designer. Every one of them is also balancing the game, but they're also doing 17 other jobs. So he's not, like, there's no dedication there, right? There's no dedication there. Everything eventually falls onto him. And apparently, like, everyone has the ability to just kind of dig in and change the game for better or worse, regardless of having good, like, balancing credentials. Like, how does it's all right for him because he has the title of it. He got hired for this job specifically to be the game developer. What about those other people? All right. From here on out, what he does is he starts to describe the game to people. We don't need to know about that. The next point that he starts elaborating on is around 11:46. and we go straight into such a big point here.
So what are the goals of balancing? Why do we do balancing? What do we try to achieve with it? It's usually good to like figure out what your goals are before you
Goals of balancing.
start doing something. It helps when you have like a clear picture of where you're going. So
everyone can be a game designer. All right. Before we even talk about this, like let's just like listen to what a healthy metagame means to him. This is the goals of balancing, so the end goal is to balance the game. A healthy metagame to him is fun, variety, and freshness.
To provide fun and interesting gameplay, this also includes like gameplay depth. That you have that fun of like discovering stuff with the cards.
Okay, so word for word. Fun to him is discovering new stuff with the cards, gameplay depth. Okay.
The variety, that there would be like different deck archetypes that are viable, that it wouldn't be just one strategy and one play style that dominates the whole game.
Okay.
And freshness.
That's variety. Variety is more than one deck archetypes that can be viable.
The game fresh, not only...
Did you guys catch that? How he described freshness?
Like from the variety cards.
Okay. Let's listen to this again. Listen to this really carefully, how he describes freshness.
The variety, that there would be like different deck archetypes that are viable, that it wouldn't be just one strategy and one play style that dominates the whole game. And freshness, that keeps the game fresh, not only like from the variety perspective, but also like from game to game, maybe like your individual.
So I kind of do this when I don't understand something too. When someone asks you to describe something, you don't use the word to describe it. It's like when people ask me my major, I honestly don't know what my major is, right? I tell people I am majoring in media technology, so they ask me, but what is media technology? And I'll respond with something like, you know, learning how to use technology in the media. He doesn't even know what the fuck is freshness? What does that even mean, right?
Deck.
Now that we know what this is, now that we know that a healthy metagame means to him is like fun, variety, and freshness, the first thing that comes into my head is I don't understand like where you can find balance anywhere within these three realms of like concepts. Anywhere in these three rounds of concepts. Fun, variety, and freshness sounds way more to me like the balance in Candy Crush or like Farmville. That's exactly what it sounds. It sounds like to me that this is completely for a casual game. Apply fun, variety, and freshness to Overwatch. Where is balance anywhere in there? Just tell me straight up. Just where is it? Alright, to back this up, let's go here, because I had an argument today, which was actually really good. I think it's good to bring up something like this. I made this tweet, and I was able to have a discussion with Nightlight, who is a Nova manager, pretty experienced with the competitive scene, right? We'll go through the conversation, because he plays devil advocate, you know, like he actually believes that this is a part of it, and we can see where we can go from here. And why these kind of metrics, these metrics, fun, variety, and freshness, have nothing to do with competitive balance. It's for casual players. Alright, so Nightlight starts off with strongly disagree, fun meaning an enjoyable game experience, variety meaning a diverse meta, freshness meaning a meta isn't stale. Okay, I say it's too basic to have three goals of balancing in a complex competitive game like CR. There isn't enough to create balance, which is just like I don't think that you're gonna find balance when you balance for fun, variety, and freshness. It doesn't make sense. I tell him to go and like you guys can do this too. You guys can go find like a developer of a really big esport and try and find these 3 goals that Clash Royale has like done. It doesn't exist because it's too narrow. It's far too narrow. It's extremely narrow in thinking. It really limits them, and we'll see later on in the video where it exactly limits them. Right? Nightlight says, if you can't determine guiding principles, there's really no hope for any game, regardless of complexity. These are guiding principles right here. These are guiding principles. Fun, variety, freshness. Where is it? I know he keeps going. Oh no, I think he went on to another post. Okay, here it is. Is this an argument against goals overall, against these goals specifically? For me, I think that it's okay to have goals in a obviously like you need goals in order to create a good game, right? You need to have very clear-cut things that you want to do, but you don't balance a game around 3 rigid terrible goals. I think like these fun, variety, freshness has nothing to do with balance. Again and again and again, we can keep saying that. So where is it? Where is it? 3. All right, so I don't have it right in front of me, but basically the point that we end up going to is instead of having goals, right? Instead of having goals, we have a design philosophy that they can follow. Big games like League of Legends, like Overwatch, these big esport games have design philosophies. The developer teams aren't following blind goals. They're following a design philosophy where they know what their game eventually looks like or what it feels like. So when they create content for it, when they create a character, when they create a card, whatever, etc., these cards fit within the mold of their design philosophy. With Clash Royale, because they have these general ass metrics of fun, variety, and freshness, they can do anything. It can be anything. And when we get a card like Heal, like I honestly don't believe that Heal even belongs in this game because it doesn't fit into this kind of game where when units die, they should die. With a design philosophy, if like if the developer team feels like they create something that is not good or does not feel good for the game, they just scrap it. There's so many examples of them having a lot of these good ideas, right, for new champions and stuff, but they say, oh, it doesn't belong in the game. It does not exist here. Does not exist in this game because this right here is terrible balancing. This is just terrible balancing. You can't do it.
There's different.
All right. What's the next part?
Ways to play with it. You discover freshness in your own deck that you're playing. That depending on who you encounter, it actually plays a little bit differently.
So it depends on who you encounter. Wait. The next point that I want to get at, let's see, 1443. He just talks about, he just keeps going on using the same words to describe a healthy metagame. What's interesting, so keep in mind, for him, he asks the question, what is the metagame? Cards, combination strategies that the community at large have found most effective. This is his definition. I think this is a pretty good definition for Clash Royale. This makes sense. We all have to agree that this is what a metagame is for us. It is cards, combination strategies that the community at large have found most effective, right? So the next thing that he starts to tackle is, what is a broken metagame? And this is where I have to just like you guys have to hold yourself in your seat for this shit. All right,
And,
this is
quite
insane.
often it's actually something we definitely didn't anticipate them to do, but that's also the exciting part of developing games, right?
Just listen to this.
Right, so
What is an unhealthy meta?
What is then an unhealthy or healthy metagame? So let's start with like the extremes. But first, like, so it's like a state of what I was thinking that it's a kind of state of fun, variety, and freshness, which was the goal. So if you think about the extremes, then like a broken metagame would be one when there's no fun, no variety, no freshness. I don't think it's a realistic state for any game to be in, because you wouldn't make a game like that. So example of a broken metagame would be if there would be this kind of card.
For those who can't see it, this is called his example of a broken metagame, of a broken card, I shit you not, is for him to create a card called a 10 cost level 1 Kingslayer that automatically kills you. That's his example that he used after a year and a half of balancing this game to introduce what a broken metagame looks like. Alright. So, like right now, right? Just tell me, what the fuck does that even mean? I'm pretty sure I can't say that on YouTube, but
that
listen to this guy. Listen to this.
Straight out. But you wouldn't do this type of card, right? Like you already intuitively.
Oh no shit! I wouldn't make a card that instantly wins every single game. At least with Yu-Gi-Oh! In Exodia, you have to freaking get the cards, right? Not in this game where you have 8 cards and you can just draw into a Kingslayer.
And that.
You mean to tell me that through all of your experience of year and a half of balancing this game, you could not use any of your metas that we've gone through in order to make your point, right? All right, let me give you an example of a broken metagame. You guys know what this is? You guys know what this is? Hey, this is when I lost CCGS because they released the Night Witch and Tintu used it better than me. I will give you guys that, right? Let's see how this game plays out here. I'm gonna just show you this right now. I'll just let you watch the entire 3 count, you know. This was for $3,000. Alright, just to, like, you know, out of all of your examples, you showed the example of a card that instantly wins you the game in order to show that we have a broken metagame. That makes total sense. That makes total fucking sense. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Work. You can't have this card.
You know, like Night Witch, Executioner. You could have pointed to Executioner. You could have pointed to Elite Barbarians. Could have talked about the newest bridge spam meta. Could have, you know, but you know, a 10 cost card that wins you the game. It's unhealthy for the game.
But likewise, a perfect metagame, I think, is like equally unrealistic. It's maybe something that's cool to strive for, something to have as a utopistic goal, but really like the state where like everything would be in absolute perfect balance, everything is in seamless.
Alright, what's the next point? Because he just goes on making something dumb. 1620. Alright. Fast, really fast.
It doesn't feel very fresh. You keeps on playing like the same way, etc. But a healthy metagame.
Alright, I want you to guys listen to this again. I know I'm asking you guys a lot to like listen, but we gotta be on the same page here, okay? Ready? He's gonna say healthy metagame, there's quite a bit of fun. Maybe there's some variety.
There's quite a bit of fun. Maybe there's some variety. It could be like a bit lower on one of these, but it's like.
Okay, so to him, let's make a paint of this. Let's make a paint of this. A healthy metagame. Healthy meta. This, we can deduce from this, like, I mean, we can also put like balanced here, right? When you say a healthy metagame, most people also call this balanced, right? A healthy metagame to him is fun and variety. Oh my god! Fun and variety equals balance. Do you guys see any disconnect here? If a game is like, think about a game that's fun and has a lot of variety. Maybe like Plants vs. Zombies? I don't know. Maybe like, fuck, what are the game? Shit, maybe some Bejewels? I don't know. Where's the balance? Where do you find balance anywhere in fun and variety? Tell me. Where do you see it? Heyday? Chess is inherently balanced because everyone starts off the same. Everyone starts off with the same pieces. That's different. He's gonna make this point later on, and we're gonna kill him for it. We're gonna just roast the shit out of him for it, because he does make that point later on. He tries to compare this game to Hearthstone really soon. Variety implies balance, because if something is really OP, everything plays it. Oh, we're gonna get to that, Cavalier. We're gonna get to that. Variety does not mean balance. It never does. What about this meta? You could say that this is probably the most diverse, right? Diverse, variety, same thing. Balanced? No. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going with this torture.
A bit healthier state.
Oh, wait.
Another way to look at this could be a diet, so, you know.
Alright, this is a really dumb analogy or whatever, but a lot of you guys would probably say to me, oh, but he's talking about the metagame, not balancing the game itself. Well, if we go back and we see it's metagame, a healthy metagame, right? Where is it? That scale. A healthy metagame is the goal of balancing. So to this guy, a healthy metagame and balancing are one and the same. When he describes what a healthy meta looks like, he says it's fun and variety. 1 and 2 right here. I'm 100% sure that he would have included freshness had he not forgotten about it. What this means is that to him, balancing is built around fun, variety, and freshness, which is something that we see in all of their balance changes. I have them here. I open them up, and we could literally follow it from beginning of like Goizen changes all the way, and it's going to be geared for fun variety, not for balance. Okay, so he gives like some kind of dumb analogy here. Wait. Where was I at? All right.
You don't want to be there for a long. Principle is it doesn't sound very exciting to me. The slide is kind of weird. Like, I don't know what we're talking about here. Anyways. Okay, so that's healthy and unhealthy metagames. But so then about the principles. So how do we do it? What do we think about when we do the balancing? So let's go through some of the principles. So the first principle is to make everything feel overpowered. Yeah, any questions? No, just kidding. That's
first principle is make everything feel overpowered. This is actually a game design that a lot of people, that most games take into account, right? They make everything feel overpowered, and then they give a counterpart to this so that you have some counterplay. Okay, makes sense. What examples does he use?
We make everything. But yeah, I know I'm saying.
Let's listen to this really closely. He uses the example of P.E.K.K.A. to describe this.
Here you could switch card out to be like hero or character, building, spell, whatever the game has. So make everything feel OP. And an example from Clash Royale is of a card that feels OP is P.E.K.K.A. Especially to early players, she feels really OP. She is this huge, gigantic robot. Yeah, I know I'm saying she, like there's a lot of Finnish developers here, but yeah, let's not go there. Okay, so no one knows what she is. She deals like insane amounts of damage to a single target. When you encounter some of these guys, she just like smacks them, one-shots most of them, and still goes for the counter push. And if she reaches the towers, she just smacks them like with a few hits. She's really powerful in that moment where she's meant to shine. So everything is cool. P.E.K.K.A. is overpowered, but unfortunately everything also needs a counter. So in P.E.K.K.A.'s case, there are plenty of counters.
Alright, so if we're following correctly, core thing that he wants to do is make everything feel OP. The second thing is everything needs a counter, right? Let's make sure we're keeping track of this. We gotta make sure we keep track of this. So make maybe I should just write this. Okay. Make everything OP. That's 1. 2 is give. Wait, what is it? Everything needs a counter. Everything needs a counter. Got it.
Among top players, she's not viewed as like as one of the like best cards in the game because there are so many ways to distract her. But that's really the point. Like you want to have something that feels OP without being it, so that there are counters and so that you have an evolving metagame. So you have counters, but you also have counters to those counters, and so the game evolves and the metagame evolves.
Everything has a counter. So the way he's kind of building the game, it makes sense, right? It makes sense at a point. So you have P.E.K.K.A. kills off tanks, right? P.E.K.K.A. is greater than tanks. But loses to... Actually, is there a better way to say this? Let's see. P.E.K.K.A. beats tanks, but loses to... Man, I suck at this. But loses to, like, you know, shit like Zap, whatever. No, sorry, not Zap. Skarmy, like Swarm, right? She loses to Swarm. Makes sense. P.E.K.K.A. beats tanks, but loses to Swarm, which dies to spells like Zap and Arrows. Let's give him a card. I'm sure you guys know where I'm going with this. Let's take Graveyard. Let's take Night Witch. I think we would say these cards are OP, right? What is the counter to these cards? And for how long do these cards stay at the top? How long do these cards stay OP? I think Graveyard has been in the meta for a good 6 to 8 months so far, because it has no direct counter. Graveyard doesn't have a direct counter because it has RNG. And Night Witch is broken because they don't know how to balance her. She doesn't die to Fireball Zap. She's terrible against Lightning. Executioner, you guys are saying they have counters. Okay. The Night Witch is used pretty much in almost every single deck at the moment. I don't see Executioner being used everywhere. I don't see Dark Goblin being used everywhere. Looks like video is just roasting Supercell for making a crappy speech. You guys realize that if someone goes to talk to them, this is the example. This is how they're balancing the game. This is what they're using to balance the game. We have to take them at face value if this is what they felt comfortable with presenting after a year and a half of balancing this game. He made a crappy speech, but it's not because he doesn't know English. He made a crappy speech because it's crappy balancing. I don't even think he knows what he's doing. Everything is almost a negative elixir trade against Night Witch. What's his next point? His next point is, oh, right here he just goes on to say, oh yeah, well, it's our bad for making Ely Barbs. Basically, Ely Barbs came out. Everyone said they were trash. They were trash because the card itself is not good unless the stats are high. So what did they do? They buffed the stats, like they gave it like 3 buffs in a row. It became really strong, promoted, dropping at the bridge, stuff like that, and then they nerfed it. After a while, after everyone leveled it up. So we go on to the next point, and this next point is...
So, one thing that's important for us to make new...
His next point goes on to say, make new cards meaningful.
New cards meaningful.
What is meaningful to him?
So the point is that new cards should be played when they are released, and they should be interesting for the players, and they should have an effect. So if you...
And we come up again to fun, variety, and freshness. Do you guys see why this is so important? It's so important that we take this for what it is. Fun, variety, and freshness is how they balance the game. But we saw that fun, variety, and freshness have nothing to do with balance. They are goals. I think it's like, it's okay to have the goal of fun, to make the game fun, to have variety, to have freshness, but you don't balance strictly off of that. He is balancing so rigidly on these 3 concepts that he's missing so much. He's missing so much else that like other big esport companies are doing for their game. He goes on to say not monetization.
What I said were the
we should listen to this.
It.
So a lot of people in the scene say that Supercell, mainly balances for monetization because when a new card is released, people will spend a lot of money. When they balance a new card or an old card, like say Witch recently, like my Witch was level 1 for the longest time until they buffed her. So when they buff a card that is potentially going to be in the meta, you must use it, or you're going to be left behind, right? That means you either spend money, or you spend gold, or you give something to them to use a card that you didn't use otherwise. It's monetization, right? People believe that they do it strictly for that. I don't think that Supercell strictly like balances just for monetization. I don't think that's how it works. I think that they do think about it as they do it though. He says that while he's balancing, he's not even thinking about monetization at all. But from past evidence of how they balance the cards, Executioner, Night Witch as it is now, what's that, Mega Minion, right? Like all these new cards were out for so long without being nerfed that people spent a ton of money to get them, and then got nerfed later on. They keep trying to bring cards with no relevance back, like Bomber, like Witch, making more money. At the end of the day, Supercell is a company, is a business, so I cannot see them not thinking about monetization. The difference here is that if Blizzard was making this presentation, right? How do we balance our game? And they put down, oh, but we don't focus on monetization. I would 100% believe them. But if Supercell says it, because Supercell says it, I cannot believe them. See the difference? Because like Blizzard's track record has been way better in terms of balancing a game than Supercell has. And also Supercell is by far freemium. It takes way more money. Putting money into Clash Royale means a lot more than putting money into Overwatch, than putting money into, something along those lines.
We think that it's fun, variety, and freshness.
So for you guys, you can go ahead and listen to his monetization.
And if the card isn't used, then it doesn't affect these at all. It doesn't add to the fun, it doesn't add to the variety, and it doesn't add to the freshness. So it's important that the new card is meaningful and is good so that it's actually used. And something I want to bring up here now is that people often talk about that we only make new cards powerful so that we monetize better, or we just grab the money. And you can look at, maybe it wasn't exactly the case with Elite Barbarians, for example, there. But the thing is that this is not really true. I really think that if you have monetization as a goal for balancing, then I think that's really hurtful for the gameplay, both in short and especially in long run. I mean, obviously there are places where
If that's true, then with the state of the game as it is right now, they kind of fucked up in the long run. Don't you guys think? They kind of messed up in the long run. So if they messed up the game so bad, and we're not thinking about monetization at the same time, it's not really painting a great picture for them.
But balancing is absolutely not one of those places. When we think about all the interactions and all that, it's difficult enough without thinking about monetization at that point. So yeah, wanted to clear that out. Right, so make new cards meaningful. One way to do it is...
Oh, so I like this part, right? This I liked a lot. He said, when they create a new card and they make it meaningful, he tries to fill a gameplay gap. Early on, there was no such thing as an Ice Spirit. Now, Ice Spirit has become, fundamentally you think, oh, it's a cycle card, has a stun, really simple, really useful, has a lot of abilities, right? So you can just listen to how he goes through this. This is
that we always try to fill a gameplay gap. So maybe there's some strategy that's missing, or maybe there's some counter or archetype that could be there. And as an example, I have the Ice Spirits. It's a 1 elixir single unit that sacrifices itself to deal some damage and to also freeze all the targets. And the idea here was to create an alternative to the 1 elixir skeletons, which was the only 1 elixir card at the time. Also, the Zap was widely used, very versatile card, still is, and it was we wanted to create an alternative to the quick freeze mechanic and the stun mechanic there. And also we had previously released the Fire Spirits. It was a cool mechanic. They sacrificed themselves to create this fireball effect. So we wanted to utilize that mechanic and explore that character a little bit more. So that's how the Ice Spirit was born. But also what's important is with the balancing is always to keep the old cards relevant. So we make new cool cards, but we really want the old cards to still have a meaning in the game, so that you still use.
Do you even see what you are comparing? Lol, you're comparing these big marketing esport teams and games to a mobile game with 17 people behind it. Do you know how much a single employee makes? Do you know how much resources are at their hand? Supercell is the biggest mobile esport company. They are acquired by Tencent. Tencent is a huge company that owns Riot. They own League of Legends, which is one of those big games, one of those big esport marketing games. So there has to be something here that kind of isn't adding up. Doesn't mean that they can just kind of make the game bad and because they have 17 people, it means that they get away with it. No, not what it means. I can't call their shit out because they have 17 people who, by the way, apparently have more than just one job. This guy is probably also the I don't know, art designer. Maybe he also dabbles in a little bit with the you know, I don't know, like what else do they do at this company? Maybe one person like pours coffee for everyone. Maybe that's also a job for him.
So things like the baby dragon and the
this is a really good point. So he said the next thing he goes on to is keep old cards relevant. All right, I think we're gonna listen to 26, 28. Did we miss this? We're gonna re-listen to this. He says one quote in particular, and I can't wait till you guys hear this.
Because new cards would be like distinctly better. So if we fill gameplay gaps instead of just doing like I think kind of lazy route would be to like just create better cards compared to the old ones. So we would.
Whoa! Wait. You guys heard that? I think the lazy route would be to just create better cards compared to the old ones. I made a post about this today. Let's see if we can find it. Right here. Got him. 2652 of the video, the Clash metagame talk by developer. I think kind of the lazy route would be to just create better cards compared to the other ones. This is a witch. It sucks ass. This is glasses, which I can do this here. Alright, now that I can see better. Oh, that's a night witch. If you didn't play this game and they told you, do these cards look similar? If someone told you that the night witch is a rework of the witch, would you not think that that's not weird? Makes sense, right? Yeah. So here's like a very obvious example of them going back on their word, right? You gotta call them out on their bullshit, dude. Keep cards relevant. They keep a lot of cards relevant by buffing them. So this is what happened to the witch. It was good in the beginning, right? It was like the witch and the wizard were pretty good, and then out came Musketeer, and then came like Mega Minion, and then came E-Wiz, and these cards are just better than the witch. And then they kept buffing the witch. At one point, at a very small point for maybe half a week, people were trying her out. I remember someone even saying the witch and night witch combo would have been like the game breaker, right? What about now? No one's using the witch. The night witch came out, and it's just the better version of the witch, right? It's the rework of the witch. Can we just stop there? Does it make sense? Does it make sense to everyone? Because this shit really happened. This shit really happened. Alright. Alright, let's keep going on.
Just do a baby dragon that is just better than the old baby dragon. But that's not a really, doesn't sound very interesting, and doesn't sound like it would be a good idea in the long run, really. So, and one thing with the with keeping,
stay true to the soul of the card. Stay true to the soul of the card. Avoid complete reworks. Kind of already. We can already take that for not granted, right? Easier to predict effects, plays like before, whatever. Of course, it's going to be easier to predict effects because the card didn't change. Plays like before because the card didn't change. I don't even think they know what stay true to the soul of the card even means. I don't know.
Is that we want to predict
what's the next part? Oh, right here. Right here, I have another tweet for you guys. In case you don't follow my Twitter, you should probably follow my Twitter.
It kind of feels like, you know, the metagame is stale, getting a little bit...
Guys see this? Guys see this? It says, keep on rebalancing, roughly once per month, you know, whatever, normal. A company can choose however long they want to balance. If they want to keep it alive, usually once a month, it's pretty good. Depending on what happens, you probably need hot fixes, which a whole bunch of these cards needed. But the second one that really gets me is the metagame needs time. Metagame needs time. So for them, it means they're basically trying to say, we don't want to push the metagame into a direction, right? We want to give them these cards, and then the metagame develops. At the very beginning, he's like, this is what he says. He says, we like to think of ourselves as like the toy maker. We give the toys, and then people show us cool things with it. He goes on the, I don't know, like quote Yarn and his skeleton video or whatever, but keep in mind, they say metagame needs time. I went back because I remember this time specifically where this is almost right after the minor poison nerf, right? And we needed a kind of a new meta. Instead of letting the game kind of happen as it is, they did 3 pretty important buffs / nerfs where everyone already saw what the next meta was going to be. No longer were people really using poison, because poison wasn't that good. Actually, it was terrible. So what did people play? People played Fireball. People didn't really play with Rocket. What people really played with was Lightning. People played Lightning, right? Why was that? So this is 30 minutes into the video. It's around 30 minutes, right? Yeah, 29:30 makes sense. Each picture is an update preceding to the other. What this means is Lightning was buffed on September 19th. Golem was buffed on October the 20th. Inferno Tower was nerfed on November the 1st. This is almost not even a month. Not even almost a month, right? And just like look at the reasoning. We can read through the reasoning, right? Lightning stuns. This is the first buff. People weren't really using lightning. Lightning stuns targets for 0.5 seconds. Due to lightning's low use rate, because they're balancing for use rate, which we're gonna get to, which is really stupid. You don't balance on use rate. You don't balance on any of the. You take into account, but you don't only balance for that. Due to Lightning's low use rate and partly for consistency with Zap, we're adding a brief stun effect to make it more unique and hopefully an interesting addition to some decks. Fast forward, not even really that far. This is, what, maybe a month later? Less than a month later? I don't know. Golem death damage also damages flying troops. This is huge for the Golem. Why? Because in the past, Minion Horde could take out Golem because the death damage didn't kill it didn't kill air troops before, right? So it made Golem that much worse. But what really held back the Golem was that Inferno Tower was super good. Not even super good. The thing about buildings back then was that every building besides Inferno Tower sucked. Almost every building besides Inferno Tower sucked, right? So what happens in the span of a week. Like 10-20 to 11-1 is like a week and a half, maybe. We get this nerf. Inferno Tower, hit points decreased by 6%. Inferno Tower is currently one of the top defensive choices, and as a result, the big guys, Golem, they specifically point out Golem. If we go back, here's the buff to Golem, becomes less appealing to use. Additionally, it can sometimes be hard to efficiently remove from the arena, so we're aiming to remedy both these things. So with the combination of Lightning being able to stun Inferno Tower, with Golem being buffed, Inferno Tower being nerfed, we get this. King's Cup, TMD Yao Yao uses what to win the tournament? Golem, Lightning. But, you know, man, the meta game needs time to evolve, bro.
Stale, and there's like some need for some something to get a bit freshed up. So it felt like a good cadence. And now things have become like a bit different. We are releasing cards in a different way. We had 2 weeks cadence on releasing cards. Now we have 1 month cadence on releasing cards. We're testing out.
I think I'm going to skip a little bit of this because I want to get to this one point really fast. Because this will affect casual players, I believe. Here? Because we're going to go over this, like use rate, win rate, but that's not the point I would like to go to. So we're going to listen to this. This is what he's going to talk about, okay? He's going to talk about the win rates across Clash. This is for balancing. This is for balancing. He's going to talk about the win rates across Clash Royale arenas, which means ladder, right? It means ladder. And he's going to compare it to win rates across the Heathstone Classes, as well as the win rates across Street Fighter characters. Alright, guys?
And when you look at the different arenas, you get a feel of what the players kind of see. Like what kind of decks are they encountering?
Remember, he would not be talking about this as if he didn't use this to balance. We know from the fact that the way he's talking, he uses ladder to balance.
At 3,000, at 2,000, at top 100, in challenges, etc. So it's a pretty powerful tool to have. And win rates also tell stories. Like you can, for example, see sleeper cards from there, like a card that has like low use rate, but it's really high, exceptionally high win rate. So that's an indicator that maybe that card is in a fairly good place, and maybe we shouldn't at least buff it even if it has a low use rate, because like actually like those players who are using it are seeing like a lot of success with it. Maybe it requires a lot of skill to use, but that's gonna also be like a good aspect if it's at least powerful and brings success. So win rates tell stories too.
I think we're here.
And something to note is that this is like what we use for in our game. In other games, you should really like think about like what fits your game. So I don't know exactly, but I would imagine that, for example, in Hearthstone, it's very useful to look at things like win rates across the different classes. Like
right there?
How does Warlock perform against Mage, against Hunter, etc. And to keep the different classes, because they're so separate from each other.
You want to know what the difference, why you cannot compare these games? You want to know why comparing the win rates across Clash Royale arenas is not the same as win rates across Hearthstone classes? Let's think about it. If I were to put in, let's say, like, I don't know, $100 into Hearthstone, right? Hearthstone classes, like, I don't think that my hero type, my like Warlock, my Mage, I don't know what else is there. Like these classes do more damage or anything. It doesn't happen like that. You don't get advantages by putting in money. But when you balance for ladder in Clash Royale, $100 will get you levels. And these levels are instantly recognizable as having a competitive advantage. You cannot compare the other. And then he even goes on to like compare Street Fighter. If I put in $100 into Street Fighter, does my Ryu do like 100 more damage every Hadouken he does? No, makes no sense. You put in money into Street Fighter, you don't do more damage. You put in money into Clash Royale, and maybe your P.E.K.K.A. No, what I don't know what's good here. Maybe your Electro Wizard can. No, maybe you can zap a minion horde. I don't know, like that's something dumb like that, right?
To keep them balanced between each other. Or Street Fighter.
The truth is that balancing for ladder is terrible because ladder is inherently an unfair mode that Supercell uses because this is one, a mobile game. A mobile game seeks to always be able to be played on the go, which makes sense, right? And it's also freemium. Ladder is uncapped, which means that the more money you put in, the higher you go, the more rewards you get, the less frustration that happens to you. So why the hell are you balancing that, and why are you comparing this to relatively fair, like a super fair game like Street Fighter, and a relatively fair game like Hearthstone?
Fighter, that you look at the different characters and the heroes and how they perform versus each other, what are the win rates in the different matchups. So think about your game, like how does it work, what's like good which data is good for your game. Right, so
this goes on to some stupid math, I don't even know, makes like no sense. There's one thing that's like really weird here. They use these such like weird terms to describe cards. You guys see this? Target use rate. They describe this thing called spiciness and bread and butter, or spicy like strategy, right? For different cards. If I have, let me see if I have what that means here. I think I do have what it means here. So I was able to find what spiciness meant for them. And in one of their news radio royale, someone wrote up a full bullet summary right here. Right? Versatile cards, Zap and Log, are expected to be higher usage rates than spicy cards like Expo. The way they think about Expo and RG and stuff like that, they think of them as spicy cards. Spicy cards are in a good place if they have low usage rates but high win rates. I don't know what category, what means a spicy card for them. Do you guys know what spiciness means for them? From here, it looks like spicy cards are barbarians as well. So barbarians and Expo are spicy. All right.
Expensive ones, they should be viable alternatives. They should be present in the, and you should see that in the use rates that they are used. And more simpler maybe is the direct damage spells, that you have, let's say, 1 or 2 direct damage spells in the deck that like, are they used like somewhat, even are they all?
I think someone said it in the chat earlier, but the targeting use rate for like spells. So let's take the example of Heal, right? Heal has been a subject of debate right now for being the reason that the meta is the way it is, which it isn't. Heal has a relatively low use rate, but has such an insane impact on the game because the element that it brings to rock, paper, scissors enforces this meta. But you cannot measure that with usage rate. You cannot measure that with win rate. You guys understand this? Because the soul of the card, if we go back to what they're talking about with Heal, is something that shouldn't belong in the game. Yep. Yep. You cannot measure how heal impacts the game. You just can't. CR is not designed to be a competitive game. Actually, CR is probably one of the only mobile games that have the potential to be a real esport. If I showed you pictures of Asia CCGS across the place, whatever, King's Cup, I show you all of these team leagues. Can you show me these team leagues in other mobile games? Vainglory, okay. What else? Give me something else. I don't know. It is. I think they made. This is what I think happened with Supercell. They created a really fun game, right? But the potential of the game goes way past what they even knew that they had. Everyone knows that the potential for this game is really high. You don't have this. The thing is with mobile is that in a few years mobile gaming is going to eclipse PC gaming because everyone has a phone. Everyone has a phone. And not everyone has access to a full computer. Not everyone has access to a console, right? They can't do that. Clash Royale is in a really unique spot in where if you invest in it now and then in the future it grows, it will bring back, it will like pay out dividends. But like, who gives a shit about that? Because everyone is underestimating it for being a casual game. If you watched Gamer GY's the English channel and you sat in the chat, everybody, like not everybody, just like really dumb people would come into the chat and just trash the game saying, why is this on the front page of Twitch? This isn't even a competitive game. This game is like pay to win. But the proof is in the pudding. If you watch the screen, there were people at the venue, there were pro players playing, people in teams, and they were playing for money. The game is hard. There's depth to it. The competitive aspect is here. If you just say that, oh, this game is casual and is a mobile, then you don't belong here. You just don't belong here. Because then you're like willingly looking away from what this game could be. Alright.
Or like alternatives, do you have?
I think he goes on somewhere around here. No. Where is he?
That are left unsaid and like really enthusiastic. Pros and cons of moving speed. What's the ramifications of having a slow or a fast unit, etc. The point is not now to go through all these and explain how they actually work in Clash Royale. The point is that you need to know your game. You need to understand how these concepts in your game work, so that you're able to understand the ramifications of the changes you do and the new cards you do, and also to understand what the top players are talking about, so that you can use that powerful tool of the community to your advantage. And of course, it also means that you should play your game, and that was something that was super important. Also,
all right, okay, right here. He says it's important to play your game. Well, no shit, you are the developer, right? You are the balance change. You're the guy who puts in what you think will make the game balanced. It makes sense then that you use an example of you're playing the game a lot, right? You would think that this guy plays a lot to make sure that he understands the game. A lot of the criticisms that players have had when it comes to balance changes is they feel that the balance changes are out of touch with the game, the community, whatever, right? Listen to what this guy says. Listen to his examples that he uses. Throughout this entire presentation, listen to his examples.
During the development of the game, that the game was played a lot. The team had like every every single day at 3 p.m. they played.
Every single day at the development. This is a year and a half ago, before even the global launch happened. Everyone was playing this game at 3 o'clock. Everyone. Remember, Supercell only has, like, his team only has 17 people. So when he says everyone, he means 17 people are playing this at 3 o'clock. Okay.
They played an hour of Royale, and usually in the evenings as well.
An hour of Royale. But what are they doing now? Are they still all playing at 3 o'clock? After a year? Who's playing now? These people... Oh, like, it makes sense to play a brand new game at the beginning of its launch because it's interesting, right? So who the fuck is still playing? Who is still balancing? Do you guys see what's wrong here? Do you guys see what's wrong here? I guess everyone is basically a game designer, right? Everyone is basically a game balancer. Let's see. We go back to the beginning. Listen to this.
Game designer in the Clash Royale team in Supercell. I'm one of currently 17 developers. We just grew this month with 6%, so we got one new guy into the team.
That 6% though.
This is the core team basically that does all the decisions for Clash Royale, for the game itself, not necessarily for marketing, etc., but yeah, for the game itself. And while I'm the only one with the title game designer, everybody really is involved in game design. And
so where are these people now after a year? Are they still playing at 3 o'clock every day for 1 hour? Maybe it made sense that when they brought up these balance changes, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And I guess now we know why, because no one's actually playing the game anymore. Sad. But then, like, you would say, oh, but aren't they taking criticisms and advice from other players in the community? Well, let's go over here. I think he goes on to say, like, we share. Where is it?
2v2.
Oh, right here. So this is how they balance. This is a pretty full thing here. Like, just to back this all up again, a healthy metagame is fun, variety, freshness. Again, has nothing to do with balance. Make everything feel overpowered, right? Everything needs a counter. We showed Night Witch and Graveyard, which don't really have counters, and this is true right now because Graveyard has stayed a top competitive card for months and months without being nerfed, without being given a counter. The only time it ever had a counter was when the Executioner was extremely OP and bugged out. And then it got hotfixed in about 2 weeks after they made their money. Make new cards meaningful. What did we say about making new cards meaningful for us? Make new cards meaningful so that they are fun, promotes variety, and adds freshness. Again, has nothing to do with balance. Keep old cards relevant. This also means no reworks. No reworks, right? Then what the fuck is this? Witch? Rework? Night Witch. I think the direct quote was, I think the lazy route would be to create better cards compared to the old ones. Here's an example where this just straight up does not add up. What else? Where's the last point? Keep on balancing. I think when they said keep on balancing, they referred to also saying give the meta time. Give the meta time. I'm pretty sure they gave the meta a lot of time here where they buffed Lightning, they buffed the Golem, they nerfed the Inferno Tower, and then the best deck in the game was Golem Lightning within the span of a month. Totally gave the meta time. All right, makes sense. Buffs are nicer than nerfs. I don't understand where they even got this. Buffs are nicer than nerfs. If any, like, that's just kind of them saying shit. It doesn't really mean anything. If you have to buff something, buff it. If you have to nerf something, nerf it. Let's see. So they also create a pie chart here where they say how they balance the game, right? Intuition, players, and data. So we know for a fact that they pull usage rates, win rates across the board in ladder, GC, etc., in order to balance their cards. We take the example of a card like Heal, that, or a card even like Graveyard, that cannot be measured in data. The effect that Heal has on a meta cannot be measured because of, I would say, just like the soul of the card. Heal is not like OP. The problem with Heal is that the cards around it make it really, what's that word? Like a hard counter to decks that run shit like poison, right? If someone runs poison, you run Heal, you most likely win. That's just a fact. And that's really, it's stupid limiting. You can't measure that using usage or win rates. Makes no sense. When they talk about intuition, this actually is pretty normal. I did some research on this. At the end of the day, when they say intuition, it means at the end of the day, you need to balance to what you feel, what makes you feel right about the game. When we talk about this, remember his goals. His goals are fun, variety, freshness. Has nothing to do with balance. Intuition is best when it's paired with like a philosophy, a design philosophy. With the people who are balancing games like Overwatch and League and stuff, they have a design philosophy where if something doesn't make sense to them, they just scrap it. Here, because they have like these goals, the intuition is like, I don't really know, like I don't even really think that their intuition like means anything. Like, who's like his intuition from everything that we've talked about? This guy's intuition doesn't mean anything to me. Doesn't mean anything to me. Who are the players that they're asking to balance their game? I haven't heard anything about a balanced team. I haven't heard anything about playtesting. I don't know any pros who said that they went and playtested their cards. So who the hell are these players? Apparently, they are the 16 other or 15 other Supercell developers who are playing the game in beta. Those are their players. And yes, Reddit. Why do we say Reddit? Because they actually did create a balance because so many people were complaining about RG on Reddit. Reddit's mostly comprised of casual players talking about ladder. As we talked about, ladder is not a place where you balance cards because it's inherently unfair. But they did it. So we have to understand that from all of the evidence, players here mean those 15 other developers, most likely YouTubers, because he actually does bring up Yarn here in the video. If you want me to go to him, I'll show you his clip. And Reddit. So these are the players that are balancing your game. This is the guy who's using his intuition to push through these changes. The data that he's using is all usage and win rates. I'm pretty sure that we just went through every single point here and we took it apart. This is why, fundamentally, the game is the way it is right now, and why this guy needs to be fired. Why, if you want this game to succeed in the long run, especially as an esport, you cannot have this guy on board. You have to build a real team. either around him or create a balanced team for this game. It's not like they don't have the research for it. A single Supercell employee, how much do Supercell employees make? Each employee at Supercell is worth more than $5 million. So it's not like they can't. No? Like they can't. If things keep going the way they are, this is why you can't just sit back and say, oh yeah, but they're going to get it right eventually. No, they won't. They're not going to get it right. They're never going to rework Graveyard. They're not going to take out Heal. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. It's going to get rock, paper, scissors. It's going to get worse. Because they're going to keep adding more cards without fixing anything meaningful. So what's going to happen is players will eventually begin to just keep quitting. As we see on Twitter, even players who win a ton, like Surgical, are not feeling very excited about this game. Imagine months and months down the line, how many more people will be here. So that's why you have to say what you say now. That's why I'm putting this out here now, before this gets worse. Everything starts from us. Everything starts from us. Because if they want to keep going, I don't think the game should be balanced completely for competitive players. You don't do that, because then you alienate the casual community. But I do believe that at like more than usual, you will look toward pro players or people who put in a lot of time into your game, who know what they're talking about, to fix what's wrong with the game. You don't balance down to up. You don't balance from the bottom to the top. You balance from the top to the bottom. And right now they're balancing from the bottom to the top, and it's just going to get worse and worse. It's going to become like Leaning Tower of Pisa, and then it's just going to drop. Oh, Backstab. Thank you for the sub. I'm so sorry. What about your YouTube channel? This is being this is being recorded right now. I'll be putting this on my YouTube channel. All right. And then he goes on to say something about like this is a quest, whatever. And it's just gonna keep going on, and we need the community and all this kind of bullshit in order to be on. So I hope that you guys took away the same thing. I hope that I showed you guys my side of what this looked like to me, and why this is just a lot of bullshit, and why all these things, all these balance changes that happened are the way they are, and why we're in the rock, paper, scissors meta that we are in right now, and why it's probably not going to change. So if we want this to change, post this everywhere, have people watch it, whatever, talk about it. Go directly to Supercell, unless like you're okay with what's going to happen eventually. Can you show the OJ part? Yeah. I think it's like after understanding advanced concepts, know your game. Where's the skeletons at? Alright. A little bit. Don't want to make sure. Oh wait! Oh my god! I totally forgot about this. Yo, can you guys? Oh, right here. This is Yarn's part, right? He says, so we learn from the players. He uses such old examples. It's been a year and a half, and he's using how to use skeletons, right? This guy actually talks. He says we learn from the best players, right? Top players are trendsetters. He refers to Helsinki and freaking Jason. He refers to Jason's deck a year and a half later as something that has to do with balance in this game. I don't know, just super fast. I don't know, man. It's so weird. Talk about Jason's deck. They had so many other examples, so many relevant people, so many relevant players, so many of their own competitions that he could have pulled out more relevant data from. But I guess like if he were to analyze it, then we would see a bunch of bridge spam and shit. Oh well. Oh well. Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop recording this. Yep. Like I said earlier, try and get this out. I'm really hoping that this gives you guys context for what this means for the future. And that every single time you see them talk, every single time you see Clash Royale talk, you see them post new balance changes, like look at it really close and ask yourself, is this something that'll benefit you? Or benefit just the game in general? Alright. Thank you guys for watching. This has been really long.